So I spent one of my days off this week getting my eyes checked. Apparently, I have become of a certain age where I'm doing a little of this and a little of that and a little I can't see what you're saying. And I thought, what am I becoming? So I reminded myself of a story, a funny story of three sisters who would probably have loved to be in my shoes at that moment, because these three sisters have found themselves now in their late 90s, still living on their own and taking care of one another. One day, the eldest of the sisters was halfway in the bathtub and halfway out of the bathtub, and she got confused and said, I can't remember if I'm getting in or getting out. So the middle sister said, I'm coming, let me see what's going on. She stopped halfway and she said, was I going up the stairs or coming down the stairs? And then the youngest of the sisters at 92 was like, boy, I'm sure glad that I'm having none of those problems and that's not ever gonna be me. Now, was that the knock at the front door or the back door? So I'm finding myself being grateful in the place of just where I am, and aware and grateful for those who have shown me grace and how to age a little gracefully as I explore the world of bifocals or progressive lenses or all of that stuff. And what a great time for me to come into that recognition and that awareness, as I'm sure each of you are in the springtime energy. Even if you didn't set out deliberately to create or initiate or declare a place of becoming, you're in it. Only because we are all biology. We are all biological creatures, so we can't avoid it. We're coming out of the place of dormant introspection, and the sun is shining, and the tulips are popping, and the birds are singing, and it is calling our soul forward. So, in the process of spring, thank goodness it's not just a couple of weeks. We get 3 months to experience this discombobulation, this season of becoming that we call Lent. Lenten season is a time where we go inward to recognize who we have become while we were in the dormant introspection, preparing ourselves for what is it that we are being called to by way of our spiritual understanding, by way of our emotional maturity, or by way of being pure manifestation magicians and seeing what it is that we can bring forward by way of the material world. So that's the journey we've been on for the last few weeks in our Lent season, where we've talked first about the letting go and laying hold, making room for this new us, making room for the new stuff that we want to see or the things that we want to experience in our lives. And then secondly was the power is within you. If I'm going to let go and I'm going to become, then I need to declare that I have the power to produce, to maintain dominion of my thoughts, of my emotions, to allow that natural becoming. And we focused on will and imagination. If we can think it, we can be it. If we're willing to be guided, redirected, detoured along the way. And then we had Reverend Faith Cotter last Sunday, where she said, let your answer be yes. Let your answer be yes. Kind of scary, because no matter what it is, she wanted us to say yes. And she also pointed out that a no is also a yes, by way of not no, just not now. And where we get impatient as human beings, God may be saying, just be patient. It's a no right now because I have something bigger in the works for you. Ease and grace, peace, peace. So now, here we are, the Sunday before Palm Sunday. And I am calling this talk Upon the Altar of Your Heart. Upon the altar of our heart is the place of reconciliation between our human and our divine. Human in limitation. Human in the fact that we're evolving to become, to reach, to unfold to a higher understanding of self and of principle, that is truth, operating the same way for each and every one of us. We call that truth God. So upon the altar of the heart is where we go to wrap it up, to get clear, to finally surrender the story. I can't do that. Who am I? I don't have those skills. I don't have that time. I don't have that money. Who does God think I am? And you can live here and that all day, friends, and I will keep you company, I promise. But it's the courage that allows us to go from our head right here to the mantle, the altar of our heart. We're following along in Keep a True Lent, where Charles Fillmore describes the altar as the place in consciousness where we are willing to give up, lower to the higher, the personal to the impersonal, the animal to the divine. The animal to the divine. Well, I've been chewing through this book, and I thought, I got it wrong. I asked each one of you to consider what it was that you wanted to create in the world this Easter season. Do you remember that? Were you paying attention? Y'all are like, no. But I asked you, I gave you that assignment. And after reading Fillmore, digesting, I realized I did get it wrong. It isn't what we want to bring forth. It is the question of who have I come here to be? Who have I come here to be? Because the truth is we can manifest all day long. You want a sunny day? Get it. You want a new car? Boom. You want a relationship? Work at it. You got it. You want health, wealth, prosperity, healing, wholeness? We got that, y'all. But who have you come here to be? The Lent process is a very hot topic right now. It seems like Unity was ahead of the curve and we were setting a trend. We were cool before we knew it was cool. I see Lent being mentioned through our Unity magazine. It's, of course, a topic in Science of Mind magazine, but it's also showing up in my social media feeds, Facebook and TikTok, by shamans and energy healers, astrologers, those other energies that are now becoming more mainstream and allowable for us to talk about. And they're talking about what we are becoming. So I got to thinking, why does this spring feel especially springy? I know that's not very articulate, but I didn't have another adjective. Why does this spring feel especially springy? For the record, I'm an introvert. I like fall and I like winter. I feel like I'm being drug out of my shell during spring. So I'm feeling this disruption, this like, I don't want to go. So I was talking to a really good friend of mine who also happens to be a Unity minister. And she made it a point to say, this isn't just any old spring. This is the spring to beat all springs, because we are awakening not just from 3 months of dormant introspection. We are having to pull up our boots and stiffen our collars and stretch it out, because we are emerging from 2 years of introspection. Ah, yes. So it wasn't just a genius moment from Reverend Brenda Peters that rocked me. You hear it. This is why it's a little tougher. Because not only are we re-emerging and having to face the emotions of coming out of our shell, but we're coming out all over again as who we are now. And we've talked a lot about that. Some of us are now parents. Some of us are widows and widowers. Some of us have lost our homes and moved clear across the country to take a new job. We're different people. So there's a little apprehension of, are they going to still like me? Am I still going to fit? Do I still belong? Maybe a little of, who am I anyway? Yes? If you're like me, you may be feeling the uneasiness right about now. Palm Sunday is just 7 days away. Palm Sunday, where Jesus went, faced his task, and you know the rest of the story. But regardless of whether you are manifesting a thing, a something, or becoming, you may be in the place right now where you're going, uh-oh, did I mean to do that? Did I say that? Did I say I'd be that? Did I say I'd participate? Anybody feeling that? A little, I'm not so sure who I am. I'm not so sure about this God stuff and being called higher. You may be feeling like you want to stand still. That's my MO. When I don't know, I don't go. I stand still. If I don't know, I don't go. And that's okay. You may be also feeling like, all right, I said I'm ready. Let's go. Tick-tock, God. Come on. I'm ready. Where's your wristwatch? Let's see the blessings. Let's see the opportunities. Right? How are you feeling about that? Anybody wondering where's God's wristwatch? Keep wondering. He doesn't have one, or it doesn't have one. So I started to berate myself a little bit. Like, come on, Maggie. You're a minister. You know how this works. You can do this. There ain't nothing that you can't handle. You talk about it all the time, except guess what? My human shows a little sometimes, and I get a little bit scared. So I turned into the stories of Scripture this weekend, studying and finding comfort from all of those characters who said no when God called, who said, not me, no sir, not today. And Moses was one that spoke to me. Moses was called to go and face Pharaoh and challenged by God to free all of the country, all of the people of Israel. And he said, you got the wrong guy. I can't do that. He said, who am I? What shall I say? What if they do not believe me? And God said to him, well, let me say this. Here's the scripture. Oh, my Lord, I am not eloquent, neither before you spoke to your servant or since. In other words, I'm the same dude. You found me, just little old Moses, and you spoke to me, but that didn't change me. I'm the same guy. I am slow of speech. I am slow of tongue. So the Lord said to him, who has made man's mouth? Or who makes the mute, the deaf, the seeing, or the blind? Have not I the Lord? Therefore, go, and I will be your mouth, and I shall teach you what to say. That's Exodus 4:10 through 11. In other words, don't argue with me. You feel the call. I've spoken directly to you in a way that you can understand and cannot ignore. And now you're going to dig your heels in and say, I can't do the job. Well, thank goodness. From Hebrews 13, it says that God does not call the equipped. God equips the called. So if at this point in your Easter season, you're feeling like I am, some days, some just minutes, like I can't, like it's too big. My calling is too large. My burden is too heavy. I have to remember that God does not put me out forward to fail. Do you believe that? Do you believe that? Yes, okay, welcome. I may believe it, but I still want to see it. Don't you? Don't you love when you get a taste of a miracle? Don't you love when you see a rainbow appear out of thin blue sky? Don't you love when you reach in your pocket and you found $20 from last summer in your shorts? Don't you love the demonstration that affirms God is in our lives, showing up for our highest good all the time? Well, if that's the truth, and if that's what we actually need, then I have a question. Why can't we see God? Why can't we see Jesus, the man of the season, the Spirit, our brother, our way shower? I had that question. I want to see. I want to touch the hem. I want to know what it is to sit at the foot of the Master and entrain my energy, my consciousness, my thoughts with the highest demonstration that we recognize in Christianity and in unity by Jesus. In Keep a True Lent, Charles Fillmore, Unity's co-founder, has a 1.5-page chapter that identifies Jesus as our helper. He answers the question, why can't we see? And he says it's because the human eye is limited in the range of what we can perceive. But have no doubt that above and below that range, there is evidence of living entities in their existence. So if we could see, why might we be limited in our sight? Why might we be limited in the way we were built, divinely perfect, with this limitation? I believe that it is because we are to be sensory beings, not just what we can see, touch, taste, hear, and feel, but that we have the power within you to develop wisdom. So we've talked about intuition, we've talked about imagination, and we talked about will, and now we're talking about intuition. So what are you called here to be? Take a deep breath. What am I called here to be? What is my soul's purpose? You can keep busy, but God will be heard. So I've shared with some of you, we have a lot of new faces, on how I know this is true. Well, it was a journey that started about 10 years ago, where I thought I was saying yes to Irving's job and being a platform host in my home church in Texas. I thought, I'm feeling this call, and I'm going to appease God by just standing here and welcoming and doing announcements and a mission statement and thank you, and that would get it. And it didn't get it. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to go ahead and be a prayer chaplain. I'll answer that call. I'm willing to pray with others, stretch my consciousness, and hold space for people. I'll do that. So I did. And the itch didn't go away, you see. For what I was ignoring was the call to something higher. The call to be in service selflessly, to be a teacher of truth, to become a minister. And like Moses, I can't do that. I can't go to school. You all know my struggle. Dyslexia, ADD. I think faster and I'm usually smarter than most of the people in the room, which gets construed as being a troublemaker. But it was the call to ministry that I was ignoring. My intuition told me that what was happening and unfolding right here in my life wasn't ever going to be enough. Anybody feeling that kind of call? Call to something higher. So one day, in my process of trying to ignore my intuition, trying to ignore God, I ended up at church on the front pew in a time where 4 generations in my family went to church together, and I was by myself. And during the meditation, which happened to be about your divine calling, I sat quiet, focused, meditative, also difficult for me. And I had a moment where God showed me in a way that got my attention so directly that I then had to move it. In meditation, I witnessed myself changing places with my minister, who was giving her meditation like this. And just to be sure that I got the message, my higher self went, "Got it now? Do you understand me now? Sure, Maggie, you can manifest cars, homes, money, health, vacation, great deals, and $20 in your last summer's pockets. But can you manifest the courage to become your highest self?" That's my question for you today. So how do we do it? How do we take this calling, this season, these principles, and put them into practice? Some of you may be like, "I don't manifest squat in my life. I don't know what you're talking about, but it sounds good. I want to try," so try small. Start with knowing the feeling of wisdom being percolated within your being. Start with being validated that you're going to turn right even though the GPS is saying go left. And you're going to be there perfectly safe and perfectly on time. Then we remember that feeling. Recognize it and allow that to be your guidance. Then dig into your courage. And in meditation, go deliberately to know. Not, "I'll just get what God's got for me today." Direct the energy. Ask the question, who have I come here to be? Who am I here to be just in this moment, just today? Not writing your future into the end of your days, just today. Who have I come here to be? And then we wean off the need to see. And we strengthen the muscle of inner knowing. When you know that you know, you just know. And that, my friends, is your truth. No one can argue with your truth. But you have to get to the place where you know that you know that you know. Yes? You brave? Yes, John's brave. I see you being brave. Each step that we have taken up into this moment, to place you on the couch, to place you in the pews, to put me on this stage, has been a step of deliberate preparation. We are being prepared. No matter how hard it is today, no matter the diagnosis you received, no matter your glasses prescription, no matter, it is intentional by grand design. So we are to develop our wisdom and move with clarity and release the angst, the wrestling, the "no way, God, you got the wrong guy, God, not me, God," and focus that energy in a positive channel to align our vibration with the divine ideas that say yes, yes, yes.